Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Northport, A View from Here. My name is Gene Matthews and I'll be your host today. Today we're very honored to have with us our new superintendent for schools, Ms. Wilma Hamilton, and our new principal for the Northport High School, George Kenny. And at the last portion of our show, we will also have someone from the Northport Chorale here, and also the Northport Orchestra. So this should be a very interesting program this afternoon. We're going to start off with you. Welcome, Ms. Hamilton. Wilma, 65 days ago you were sworn in. Now I checked that on my calendar. And how do you feel now that 65 days? Do you feel like a veteran? Or do you feel like a disabled veteran? A wounded veteran? Or?
I feel like it was 65 years ago rather than 65 days. No, I feel good.
Good, good, good. What have you seen happen over the past 65 days that would make you feel, jubilant, if you will, or happy?
Well, I think that I see a little bit of healing taking place and a lot of our staff coming together again around the needs of our school district, and a lot of community members getting back on board with the school district, which I think was essential after the past year.
Yeah, there has been a lot of ups and downs, if you will.
Certainly have.
And we're welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Okay. George, you've been on board how long now?
Since the beginning of last January, so we're coming up on 1 year, and things are going very well in Northport. I'm really pleased with the progress we're making with the school. The community has been extremely supportive, and we're looking forward to a great relationship there.
And what's the completion date for the school out there?
Well, we'll be ready to open next August. Some of the buildings...
We're counting on that, by the way.
We'll be ready. The classroom buildings will be done in January and February, and then the gym and the front office and the media center and so on come on. They come in phases. But the theater will be the last building finished, and that'll be done in July. And
what about the programs, the academies, and all this? Give us a brief rundown of what the curriculum is going to be and how it's going to perform in relation to, let's say, standard high school curriculum that most of us know and understand today.
Sure. Well, as you may be aware, the school is going to open with grades 6 through 10, and then we'll grow a junior class in our second year and a senior class in our third year. In the middle school, we'll be doing quite a bit of career exploration. There's a career lab in order to enable students to do that and to think about what they would do in the future. When they go into the high school program, they'll go into one of 5 academies: Health Science and Human Services, Information Technology and Management, Communication and the Arts, an Environmental Academy, or Leadership and International Studies. And each of those academies has the elective courses and the academic courses coupled together to create certain career focuses, and will give kids experience in those areas so that when they exit, there are a menu of careers that they would be qualified and have some skills to perform. If they want to go on to a 2-year or a technical school, there are another set of careers, and then if they went on to a 4-year school or beyond, there's yet another set of careers that they'd be qualified for.
And this is still within the same 24 credit requirements by the state?
It's 24 required. Students at Northport High will actually be able to earn 32 or more. They can start on high school credits when they're in middle school in some cases.
I see, I see. And dual enrollment?
Yes, we've already started to talk with MCC. My goal would be to have 4 dual enrollment courses.
Explain dual enrollment for the people out in the audience.
It would be 4 courses for each academy, which would be 20 dual enrollment courses. Those are courses that high school students can take, and we'll offer some of them on the campus at Northport and some of them at the South Campus of MCC. And they get high school credit. They're working toward their graduation requirements, but they're also earning college credit at the same time, and it doesn't cost the students anything to do that. So they're saving time and money as they start to move toward going on to college.
Well, I'll have to say is that my kids took dual enrollment, and it saved me a lot of money when they went to college. I forget what the cost per semester hour was, but it saved me considerable money over. Wilmer, how will these programs affect the rest of the county, county high schools and middle schools?
Well, you know, we have academies in several of our high schools now. Let me just use a couple of examples. At Booker High School, there's an environmental academy, and there's also a law academy, as well as their visual and performing arts academy. So we have some of those in place, but we really want to see what a high school looks like that's totally based on these academies, because this is what the research is telling us is best practice for children. So we hope that Northport is going to be our model high school in terms of the use of academies to teach a variety of children through areas that they are most interested in.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And generally, back to you, Wilmer. You know, overall, how are the students doing in Sarasota County, as it relates to, you know, the state, the nation, and everything else? Where do we stand as a school district?
Well, you know, we're really proud to say that for the third year in a row, the students in Sarasota County are overall the top performers academically in the state of Florida, as measured by the FCAT series that includes writing and the nationally normed achievement test, all a part of the FCAT. And we're happy to say that once again we're up there. I have my concerns that as our budget diminishes, as we have fewer resource teachers and more students in class, my major goal is to maintain that high level of achievement given our pattern of diminishing resources.
Yeah, and that's pretty much a demand of Sarasota County residents too, that excellence in education is a high priority for them. What about in relation to the ACT and the SAT scores?
We are certainly well above the mean in the United States. In those two areas. Sarasota County does a phenomenal job in terms of educating its college-bound type students, and in fact the independent agency that was in to audit the school district, School Match, said that if you have a college-bound youngster, this is the best bang for the buck in the United States.
Is that right? That's interesting. And also I think, I know that many relocation magazines of different types have cued on Sarasota County as being very good for companies to relocate and educate their children, and because that's a real criteria, real high criteria for relocating a business. And this is why we're excited too, from an economic development standpoint within Northport, to have the new high school there.
Right.
Because that certainly will be an incentive for some good tax-paying industry to locate in our town. George, what kind of extracurricular activity are we looking at, let's say, the first year in Northport?
Well, we're going to be very busy at the school because we'll have all of the sports that the middle school kids play, plus a full sports program at the high school through the junior varsity level. In our first year of operation, we'll have only freshmen and sophomores, so we'll just play junior varsity. And then, depending on which sport, in the second year, we'll have varsity teams, and then by the third year, we'll have a full varsity program as well. In addition, at the school, we'll have a lot of special interest clubs, art club, chess club, environmental club, and so on. And we'll also have Key Club and Interact Club. Basically, we want to get the kids involved in extracurricular activities. We know that that's important, and particularly now that the students in Northport won't be riding buses for hours on end, we want to keep them busy and have them do positive things with their time.
Mm-hmm. And I also understand you've been talking with the Boys and Girls Club to run some programs within the school for the middle schoolers?
Yes, what we want to do is we'll make facilities available if the Boys and Girls Club want to run a program on campus, and we have a number of computer labs and so on that would be available, or we'll find a means to transport them to the Boys and Girls Club, or a combination of both.
Yeah, this has always been a concern of the Boys and Girls Club, is we couldn't get the middle schoolers here because of transportation. And perhaps that's the area of greatest need of a Boys and Girls Club, or at least a latchkey and or organized activity. Well, that's it for the first segment. We'll be back in a moment with segment 2, and we'll continue speaking with Wilmer and George.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaka. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.
Welcome back to the second segment of Northport, A View from Here. Wilmer, a lot of things are going on in Northport. Yesterday morning we had the Economic Development Council meet at Bobcat Trail, and they got a pretty good eyeful plus an earful of what's going on in Northport from the city manager and also one of the big developers down there. What's going to happen beyond the Northport Middle High School in the very near future for our children down there?
Well, let's just say that Northport has been the incredible surprise of this county, and I don't think anyone fully predicted, except perhaps you, the tremendous growth.
I told you so.
You did, and you were right. So without a doubt, we are going to be looking at putting another elementary school in the next few years in Northport, because the two elementary schools we have now are really large, and they're going to continue to grow. So we know we need an elementary school, and we know that that middle school is going to need to come on board as well. Plus, looking at some of the possibilities for Northport in the future, it may be that we're looking at down the road quite a little bit, another elementary school in another section of Northport. Mm-hmm. So without any doubt, a new elementary and a new middle school in the next several years.
Any time frame on those?
We're going to be...
We'll hold you to it.
We're going to be bringing a time frame to the board, I believe in early December, for exactly when all of that is going to come on.
Okay. Mm-hmm. George, back to extracurricular activities, if you will. There was a joint venture between the city and the school board on that Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
Some $3.5 million was given by the city to incorporate into the overall production of that building. What do you see as a usage for that building, and how is it going to be integrated between the community and the school system?
Right. Well, actually, the community contributed over $3.5 million to enhance the facility. It has 1,000 seats. It's a professional operating theater, and we want to make the best use of that for the students at the school and for the community. I fully expect that we'll have some traveling road shows that will come in for professional shows at the theater, and I think we'll package that into a performing arts series for the community and as a fundraiser for the school. Mm-hmm. We'll have, of course, our functions with band, chorus, orchestra, drama, and so on. And I imagine that on the west coast of Florida, that several of the organizations, Florida Bandmasters Association and so on, will be looking at us to host some of their festivals. So we'd want the community to get involved there as well. But also, there's a building that belongs to the city of Northport that's a rehearsal hall for the concert band and for the orchestra and for the chorale, and we're going to make good neighbors there. I think that we may be able to have them help to do some volunteering, and we may be able to help them with some of their productions, and I think we'll have some concerts that are joint concerts. I think we have an obligation to show the city of Northport and the school board that we can work very effectively together, and I think the theater is going to be a very busy place.
That's great. And
I don't know if all your viewers are aware of this, but one of the reasons we're so thrilled with having George as the principal at Northport High School is that his background has a lot of the arts in it. He himself was a band director, mm-hmm. and so music and the arts are a part of his background, so I think he's the perfect choice to make that partnership work with the community.
Yeah, I know you were very active over in Lemon Bay High School when they got the the auditorium and such over there, so your being here was quite fortuitous. Is that a correct word?
That's exact. That's beautiful.
Okay.
It's a 25-cent word.
Okay. I understand we're opening with portables. Now that it just seems rather odd, and I'm sure people are going to say, "Hey, what are those portables doing out there?" Could Either of you give me a reason for it, or give our folks, our watchers, a reason for it?
I think the main reason is that in the state of Florida, all schools have portables as a part of the construction, simply because the state of Florida has a building code that doesn't allow you to go on beyond a certain size, and portables are included as a part of every school's construction, unfortunately, as you begin. Plus, George has a need, I think, for some portables as well that's really curricular and related to the mix of middle and high school students.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we want to have the middle school kids primarily in one building and the high school kids primarily in another building, just so that we can keep that separate. And when we choose to have an intermingling there, if it's a tutoring or a mentoring kind of program, then we can do that. But we'd prefer to keep those two populations separate. I think some of the middle school parents, and especially some of the sixth grade parents, are a little bit concerned about their kids being on a campus with older students, and that helps us to give a little bit more control to the situation. So the problem being that the middle school building is not big enough to hold all of the middle school kids, and that's where portables are going to be necessary when we first open.
And the state, as I'm reading this between the lines, doesn't give you enough money to put the permanent structures there?
That's correct. There's just a certain size that you're allowed for a certain number of students, and anything you want to do beyond that programmatically requires portables.
Okay. Talking about keeping the students apart, George, what is the security, what do you do for security in a high school like this to ensure perhaps that division, as well as having other people come on campus, and are you building anything into the school itself physically to deal with this?
Yeah, from the early stages of the design, security has been, thought out and planned for. The design of the school, as people come to see it, they'll see that everything is very straight. There are not a lot of corners. The hallways are outside. The stairways are exposed so that you can see what's going on. So from a supervision standpoint, you can really see a long way, and you can really know what's going on. And I think that's important in our campuses, the way they're laid out in Florida. The other thing is that people may not realize it, but when they come into the school, it naturally funnels into the central courtyard, and then it's very obvious where the front office is from there. So if you had somebody coming onto campus and not following that traffic pattern, then that would alert us that, maybe there's a problem there, or somebody that we need to redirect. Also on campus, we'll have 6 campus aides whose job is to keep an eye on things and make sure things are running smoothly, and that it's safe, and who may be on campus, and also to help students if they're having trouble with a locker, or they're lost, or they need a little extra help with something. So we feel very good about the way the school's laid out and about the security that's built in. And we think that students are going to feel very safe on campus. We're looking forward to it.
That's good. What about the fields? What kind of fields are you going to be putting out there?
We have a football field, a soccer field, baseball, softball, and a separate practice field. So we're well equipped in that regard. And especially where we have middle school teams and high school teams, we should have enough practice facilities for everybody.
Well, I want to thank both of you for coming here today and visiting. Whenever we get into the subject, we can never get far enough into it to really cover it all. But thank you again very much, and we'll be back in a moment.
There's a rumor that small-town America has all but disappeared.
Life is great, Northport.
Northport is the last Mohican. This is the place. This is going to be the last undeveloped region. The city government itself is so pro-growth, and it's just like everything is in the right place at the right time for Northport. They're very open-minded, they're very honest, and they're very fair.
Disappeared? You've just seen evidence to the contrary. We call it Northport.
Welcome back to the third segment of Northport, A View from Here. As you heard in our prior discussions with the school board folks, we're going to have a wonderful performing arts center opening in Northport in about a year. And with us today, this afternoon, we have Pat Prensel. How do you do, Pat? She's from the Northport Chorale. And we also have M.A. Simoneau, who is the conductor of the Northport Orchestra. Now, there's many other groups that that will be performing in here, and I hope I don't offend them by only having the two of you here. But we're going to have everybody on at some point during our programs over the next year. We only had a small segment, but let's start off with you, Pat. What do you, as the Northport Chorale, see and envision taking place over at that center?
Well, I think it's very exciting that we will now have a home. We have been in different facilities, mainly churches, to do our performances and our rehearsals, and that has worked out rather well, except that we seem to keep outgrowing these places. And so now that we are going to have our own home, a special place, I think it's going to be an incredible experience, and I very much foresee that the chorale will be very excited when they see it.
And how large is the chorale?
In our full season, when everyone gets back from up north, we have about 75.
75. And what's the range of your work?
In terms of concerts?
Types of songs
that we do.
Yeah, opera, light opera, glee club, I don't know.
We do a little bit of everything. Right now we're getting ready for a holiday concert, which will be portions of the Messiah. We will be doing some Jewish music, we'll be doing some Ukrainian music, and so we're going to try to cover a lot of different areas in that.
The Ukrainian population is certainly growing in Northport. Are they becoming more and more part of the chorale?
We have quite a few Ukrainian, yes. We have several who just joined this fall. We were very happy to have them because they're very musical and love to sing.
Yeah, about a year ago they had a very nice concert over at the church with a professional opera singer and pianist from New York, and that was fantastic. I was there and I enjoyed it very much. M.A., yes. You are the conductor of the Northport Orchestra. What's your take and feelings about the new facility?
I agree with Pat that we're going to be home for once. This is my second season here at Northport, and I see it as a growth. Just as a music part of it, acoustically, it's going to be like going to heaven. And St. Cecilia will be right looking us.
You have to tell us who St. Cecilia is.
St. Cecilia is the patron saint of musicians.
All musicians? All musicians. Singers also?
Yes, singers also. Okay. That's, they say musicians and singers, but no, they're all musicians.
You're all musicians.
And just the fact that we'll have enough room for everybody to play, because strings do take quite a bit of room, cello and violin, so we're kind of cramped at where we are now. So it will make a difference on how they perform themselves. They'll feel free, and acoustically, I'm sure that it'll be a revelation to all the musicians that play in the orchestra.
Yeah, I remember when you were in St. Paul's, the moving the music stands and the chairs in and out. You had to be almost a marathon runner to get everything set up in time, and then take it down and store it away again and take it out again for practices.
I've had good practice with it. With 35 years of public school band and orchestras and choirs, I've done a lot of that. So you're kind of a mixed match between a janitor and a conductor.
Yeah, well, that's like being a small business owner. You get to do all those neat things.
Yes.
You can get to clean up after everyone else goes to work and stuff like that.
And I involved my family with that, the children and my wife, so they were used to that.
How large is the orchestra today?
When we're all here, we're about 55 to 60, with a fairly good instrumentation. We have about 22, 23 strings, and then a variety of winds, woodwinds and brasses and percussion and keyboard.
What's the major component of an orchestra?
It's the strings.
It's the strings?
The strings are the life of an orchestra. And I think too many times orchestras tend to be a band with a few strings. But this one I'm trying to impress on the membership that it is an orchestra, and we are strings primarily. So we're always recruiting for young string people to come forth and join us, and they don't have to be Isaac Stearns to play.
But it helps.
It helps.
It
certainly
helps.
does.
You'd love to have a couple of
I
those.
sure do.
Well, you know, the orchestra even started programs over at the Glen Ellen Elementary School, I think, in the string and woodwind area to bring the kids along at the elementary level into a...
The orchestra was very instrumental, no pun intended.
No pun intended.
The program started in 1986 with 5 students and 5 instruments, and it's grown to 80 young people and a variety of instruments that the orchestra owns and rent to the interested students.
That's great. And how large do you anticipate the orchestra going with becoming with the new facility?
To the utmost would be if you're going to play Richard Strauss or Wagner, you'd have to have about 100 musicians. And that's approximately between 90 and 100 is what the normal orchestra, professional orchestra. But if we have capable musicians at the 60 or the 70 level, it would be fine. But the doors are always open for someone who wants to play, especially strings.
And it still is a fun...
Oh, definitely.
A fun event for everybody, the audience as well as the... And I'm
try
sure
to
it's the
make it
same.
that way.
Yes, it
but
is.
There has to be a little bit of education in it. So I throw in like...
You wouldn't want me, is what you're saying. I took violin lessons when I was a child. One lesson, the teacher never came back. Now, I don't know what that message is, but she never did come back. Pat, you were mentioning about a fall event or a Christmas event. When is that going to be?
That's going to be
where?
December the 8th at 7:30. That's a Friday, and it will be at St. Paul's Presbyterian Church in Northport, and again on December 10th at 3 p.m.
So you have 2 dates.
Place. We have 2 dates.
Okay.
Yes.
And is there an admission fee, or is it a contribution?
$4 admission fee.
Okay.
Yes.
And it'll be the show of their life, right?
Well, I think people will really enjoy it.
Well, that's great.
It's going to be. We try to get the audience involved. We do a little singing with the audience, and we have quite a few soloists scheduled. And we're going to have some handbells, and we're going to do some fun things. I think people will enjoy it.
Pat Foster?
Pat Foster, yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
She does a good job with those handbells.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
And what do you have on tap for the winter season? I know you have a season.
Yes.
And as you have in the
It
past.
starts off on December 3rd at St. Paul's at 3 o'clock. And we have a variety of music to satisfy all tastes, from the holiday type music to Schubert and César Franck and some Saint-Saëns.
Okay.
So we have a little bit of everything to satisfy the cravings of the musicians playing, and then also for our consumers who are sitting and listening.
Well, we have a good season without a performing arts center. I can just imagine what it's going to be like with one.
Wonderful.
So we have to end now. Again, we never seem to get everything in, but thank you for watching the show, and we'll see you again at Northport, a view from here.
Have you seen Northport lately? Take a minute and take a look.
We really do enjoy nature, and we found it all here, right in our own backyard. Love fishing and boating on the Mayaca. You never know what you might see out there. We toured the whole state of Florida and found that Northport had everything that we wanted.
There's a lot of natural beauty, and there's a lot of wildlife here. I love the open spaces, and I love the quiet.
If you're intrigued by what you just saw, pay us a visit, and you'll see a lot more.